affects Caitlin Clark, guys. This greatly affects Caitlin Clark. Here says WNBPA to take firm against WNBA as CBA feud rages on. The collective bargaining agreement deadline expires January 9th. The WNBPA is preparing to take action against the WNBA as tensions
98%. That's not a negotiation tactic. It's a declaration of war. The WNBA Players Association just authorized a strike with near-unanimous support, and the January 9th deadline is now less than 2 weeks away. But what makes this situation unprecedented in sports history? The league's biggest star is openly breaking ranks with her own union,
raising questions about labor stability ahead of the next campaign. This is January 9th is about to be here. We're almost at January 1st. It's almost a happy new year, guys. So they are, and it seems as though the WNBPA is willing to start a strike before the deadline even shows up. This is crazy work. Sensing the deadline and the season starts, players.
Let's break down what's really happening, because the numbers tell a story the headlines miss. An incredible 93% of all WNBA players voted, and of those, 98% approved strike authorization. That gives the WNBA Players Association the power to call a work stoppage whenever they see fit. The current collective bargaining agreement expires after the 2025 season, meaning both sides are negotiating the framework that will define player pay, revenue sharing, and working conditions for the next 5 to 7 years. This isn't just about tweaking salaries. It's about reshaping how the WNBA divides its rapidly growing revenue. And that pie just got a whole lot bigger, thanks to one player.
In the executive committee to call a strike if negotiations collapse. And they quoted, "The players have spoken," the WNBPA said. "Through a decisive vote with historic participation, our membership has authorized WNBPA's executive committee to call a strike when necessary." Now, we know that they got those votes and all of that. But the thing is, negotiations have not progressed, guys. And this is the second extension that has been signed.
Brianna Stewart's quote lays bare the core issue. What's happening now simply isn't working. If they're not going to budge, we're going to reach a standoff, she said, a veteran all-star, two-time WNBA champion, and longtime face of the league, admitting that the current negotiation process has failed. Here's where it gets complicated. Players are demanding major salary increases and better revenue sharing, pointing to the league's expanding footprint in media and sponsorships. And they have a point. Attendance is up, broadcast numbers are breaking records, and new media deals have tripled previous agreements. On paper, the players hold real leverage. But the league pushes back with a different argument. WNBA officials stress that financial sustainability must remain the priority. Their proposal? An uncapped revenue-sharing model that ties future salary growth directly to actual league revenue. In other words, you'll earn more when the league earns more, not based on projected numbers.
Revenue-sharing model, which they would directly link future salary growth to rising league revenues over time. Despite those assurances, players remain unconvinced. Many fear that without firm guarantees now, future promises may fail to translate into meaningful financial gain. With the season typically beginning around May, both sides face mounting pressure. A prolonged dispute risk overshadowing momentum the league has worked hard to build. For now, the strike authorization stands as a warning shot. If no deal is reached by January 9th, the WNBPA has made it.
Now pay close attention to Caitlin Clark's response, because this is where the story takes a sharp turn. Clark said, quote, "We need to compromise, and ultimately, we need to play basketball this season." That statement hit the union like a bomb. She went on, "It's not something that can be messed up. We're going to fight for everything we deserve, but at the same time, we need to play basketball. That's what our fans want. That's what you and the media want too. You want the product on the floor. That's how the money gets made. That's what excites the fans." Read between the lines. Clark just signaled that a strike could undercut the very momentum the union is trying to leverage. She's essentially saying the players' bargaining power vanishes the moment they walk out, because the surge of interest in 2024 wasn't just about the WNBA. It was driven by specific stars, primarily her.
All this season, none of the other players have come out and said such thing. None of the other players have come out and said such thing. And it really just seems like she's on that island alone at this point. It says Clark wants to ensure the two sides agree on a good deal to properly set up the future of the league. She said it's not something that can be messed up. We're going to fight for everything that we deserve, but at the same time, like, we need to play basketball. That's what all our fans crave. That's what all of you in the media crave as well. You want the product.
This is where Caitlin Clark's position becomes truly fascinating from a strategic perspective. She said, "It's a business and a negotiation. There has to be compromise on both sides. We're getting down to the wire. I want to help any way I can, and I've tried to educate myself as best I can. I can't speak to every number. It's complicated, but there are things we deserve and can't compromise on, and other things where compromise is possible." That's not typical union solidarity language. That's a rookie telling veterans that a hardline approach might be strategically flawed, and she's doing it publicly. That could either be sheer naivety about union politics or a calculated move, relying on the strength of her personal brand to break ranks safely. Here's why it matters. Caitlin Clark is the reason the WNBA has leverage at all. The 2024 season shattered viewership records, but a closer look shows that games featuring Clark drew far higher ratings than those without her. Sponsors didn't suddenly discover the league because of collective excellence. They showed up because one player created a level of mainstream cultural impact the WNBA hadn't reached in its first 27 years.
Caitlin Clark come out and say, hey, we need to sit down and we need to come to some sort of compromise. And that needs to be a major part of things, compromising so we can get a deal done and play basketball this season. Here it says it's a business and it's a negotiation. Clark said there has to be compromise on both sides. We're starting to get down to the wire of it. Obviously, I want to help any way I can, and I've tried to educate myself the best I can. I can't speak to every.
Now, contrast Caitlin Clark's public statements with the silence from the rest of the league's stars. Where is Aya Wilson calling for compromise? Where is Breanna Stewart acknowledging that fans deserve to see basketball? Where is Sabrina Ionescu weighing in on the need to balance player demands with league sustainability? The answer is simple. They aren't saying anything. Union leadership has established a unified, hardline front, and that front leaves no room for nuance. The WNBA's official statement was blunt. Our membership has authorized the executive committee to call a strike when necessary. No mention of compromise. No recognition of the fans. No acknowledgement that the league's financial structure is fundamentally different from the NBA's. And that's the elephant in the room nobody wants to address.
History of the WNBA, and I don't want that to be forgotten. It's important that we find a way to play this next season. I think our fans and even everybody who has played in this league that has come before us deserves that as well. So Caitlin Clark is all in on playing basketball this season in the WNBA and finding that happy medium to get a deal done. I don't know if her colleagues, that being the players, are thinking the same. Get down in the comments. Let me know what you think. This Keep the Vision.
The WNBA has lost money in most years and has been subsidized by the NBA to the tune of tens of millions annually. The 2024 financial performance was stronger, but final broken even, or posted a small profit. That isn't exactly a foundation for massive salary hikes. Interview 7. This is what makes the situation so precarious. The expansion draft hasn't even taken place yet, and free agency is scheduled to start immediately after the CBA deadline. The 2025 numbers aren't in, and even the most optimistic projections suggest the league may have just ASIN usually begins in May, which means training camps would kick off in late April. If negotiations collapse and players strike, the entire structure of the upcoming season could crumble. Expansion teams in Golden State and Toronto would be left in limbo. Free agents couldn't sign contracts because the salary framework wouldn't be established. Sponsors who invested based on 2024's momentum would have every reason to renegotiate or walk away entirely. Media partners who tripled the league's broadcast deals would end up paying for games that never happen. Most importantly, the casual fans who flocked to the WNBA because of Caitlin Clark in 2024 would vanish. These aren't diehard supporters. They came for one player, one story. Remove the games, and they'll move on to the next cultural moment. That's something Caitlin Clark understands in a way her veteran peers apparently don't. Her words say it best. This is the biggest moment in the history of the WNBA, and I don't want that to be forgotten. It's important that we find a way to play this next season. I think our fans and everyone who has played in this league before us deserves that as well. She's right. The 2024 season wasn't just another year. It marked a true inflection point for the league.